Authors Press.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Richardson and I'm from Authors Press. Today is April 5th, 2023, and I'm gathered here again with Francis Pitard, the author of From Normandy to the Hell of Ravensbrück, Life and Escape from a Concentration Camp, The True Story of 44667. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Francis?
Well, I was born in 1942, so when my great aunt that was working for the French resistance was caught by the German and deported to Ravensbruck concentration camp, I was about 3 years old. And there are some anecdotes in that book that I vividly remember, even the fact that I was very young at the time. There were events that were kind of traumatizing, things you cannot forget, you know. So, and then after that, I spent many years. I knew I will write a story one day, but it took me many years to decide to do it, and I finally did it a few years ago.
Okay. Is this the first book you've ever written?
No, I did 2 historical novels first, Earth About Race and Rapanui Settlers, and this was my third.
Okay, I see. Could you give us a brief synopsis of this book?
This book is a true story of my great aunt, and I was very close to her because when I was a student in Paris, when I was in my early 20s, I was staying at her place very often, and she was telling me all of those stories that she had when she was in a concentration camp. And I didn't need to take notes because the story she was telling are impossible to forget, you know. It's so I talk about that in the book, you know. There are some stories that she say, I will never tell you. I will never tell to anyone because it's just too much.
Right. Yeah, I can completely understand what you're saying. There are some things that you just can never forget, no matter, even if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you mentioned earlier that this is the true story of your great aunt.
Yeah.
And you said that you always knew you were going to write this into a book. You just weren't sure
Right.
when.
Yes.
What moment did you know for sure you needed to write about this story?
Well, my family was pushing me for quite a few years to do it. And one time we were talking to a friend and he said to me, you have to write this because that was a story that was stolen from us. That was, at that time I said, I have to do it.
So it was almost like a call to action.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And has this book changed since you first had the idea for it? I know that you recently republished this book as well.
Yeah, no, I will not change anything. The way it is, I like it. And I spend a lot of time to write the epilogue.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I can tell that you've spent a lot of time perfecting this book and making sure that it is exactly how you want it to be.
Yes, it's everything is true story, but sometimes you have to inject a little bit of things you're not sure in order for the story to flow properly. Sometimes there are gaps. I have to put something between, and that may be not exactly what happened, but close enough, you know.
A padding, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, and this picture right here, this is a picture of your great aunt, correct?
Yeah, that's that picture was taken in about 1954.
Okay, so a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, you said that you did not need to write down any notes for this. Did you need to do any research for this book?
A little, because geographically speaking, I was not sure what Ravensbrück was in the first place, so I did a little bit of research on that, and I read some other books that I mentioned in a recommended lecture at the end of the book. I read some of some other people that wrote something also about Ravensbrück, you know.
How do you want this book to impact your readers? What kind of message do you want your readers to get from your book?
I want them to read this because the idea is, as humans, we have to get better at what we are doing here, because we keep repeating always the same mistake over the centuries, you know, and I had good hope after the collapse of the Soviet Union, but it didn't last very long. When came 9/11, I say, here we go again, you know, and then right now with, you know, what is going on in with the Russians and Ukraine, it's here we go again, you know, we never learn. We keep repeating the same mistakes. So, and that is why I spend a lot of time on the epilogue to try to say, look, let's go to a superior level to Ravensbrück, learn something, and maybe we can teach our children to not to repeat that kind of mistake over and over. So maybe it's wishful thinking, I don't know, but we have to give it a try, otherwise nothing will happen.
Okay, I see. So your intentions are to educate people and encourage people to break this very toxic circle that just keeps eating itself around and around.
I have many ladies that wrote that book told me this should be taught to teenagers in high school.
Yeah, I can definitely see myself when I was in high school reading this book, not just out of a teacher's recommendation, but because it's what I wanted to learn about.
Yeah.
If you could expand on a single topic in the book, which one would you pick?
It's difficult to say. Maybe on what they did for the French resistance before they were caught by the German, you know. Maybe this will be a good expansion. Otherwise, however, I don't have information really on what they really did.
Okay. So you would expand on topics that you didn't touch much on, or things that you want to learn about more yourself?
I didn't touch on.
I see.
Because of the lack of information.
Okay, yeah. I definitely think it's better that you didn't touch on it at all if you weren't educated, because it's better to leave it out than to talk about something you don't know much about.
Yes, yeah, I wanted to preserve the truth as much as possible. So I didn't want to deviate too much for the book to become kind of fiction. I didn't want that.
Right. Yeah, your book is nonfiction, though it does have very little fictional aspects added in for padding.
Very little, very extremely little.
Yeah, for padding, really, like you said earlier. So
padding.
That way, simple plot holes won't be there.
So it flows well.
Exactly. Okay. I know that you said that the main character is Aline, which is your great aunt.
Aline. Yep.
Yeah. Do you connect to any other characters or topics in this book on a deeper level?
She had a companion in her cell that was Geneviève de Gaulle. She was a niece of General de Gaulle.
Why do you think you connect to that character more?
Because number one, they were together. My great aunt was at the time 46. Geneviève de Gaulle was only 21. She was very young, and it's like almost a kid that get deported to a concentration camp. So that is an interesting character of its own. It's different.
The intrigue and the how much it makes you feel.
And she was very close to my aunt Aline, because when she was close to her, she felt like she was protected.
I can't imagine how it would feel to be your aunt's friend or companion, to feel so protected in a place where you can't feel protected.
Yeah.
I know it means a lot.
My great aunt was a very strong woman. She was about 7'5", and she was overweight a little bit, but very muscular in nature. She was so when she went to the concentration camp with all those fragile ladies, either because they were too young or some of them has been in the concentration for some time, they lost a lot of weight. So with my aunt in the middle, they felt some kind of protection. It was wishful thinking, but at the time it's all they had.
Better than nothing. How did writing this book make you feel? What kind of emotions did it evoke?
Oh, many times when I was writing this, I said, this is so sad, but it has to be told. And I have a friend that wrote the book, and he said, when I was finished, I passed this to my wife, and I was on the phone. She said she is reading this in the kitchen, and once in a while I hear her crying, and then at overtime I hear her laughing.
Those are the best kinds of books, the ones that can make you feel something.
Yeah.
The ones that make you sit up when it gets real good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you pleased with the general outcome of this book, or would you change anything if you were given the chance?
No, I won't change anything, and everybody that I know that read the book like it very much. So I am pleased about the outcome so far.
Okay, that's wonderful. I just got a couple more questions for you before we tie up the interview. Do you think your aunt Aline would approve of this book?
This is an interesting question, because when she was alive, she was approached by the media that wanted her to tell her story. They wanted to make movie out of it and stuff like that. And she always rejected them. I say, never. I will never talk to you guys. I don't want to talk about it. She talked to me because I was family. She talked to me because it was difficult for her to get started. But when she gets started, after that, she could not stop. And it's... So I felt kind of privileged that she talked to me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You can tell that she trusted you immensely with the information and the stories that she told you.
Yeah.
Where can we purchase your book? Do you have a website?
Yes, I have. You can purchase a book if you go to my website, or if you go to Amazon, or if you go just to the internet and you type Francis Pitard books, and they will be in there. It has been published first by Page. It's an editor in New York, I think. And then after that, because I don't think they did a terrific job promoting the book, so I let the book to be reprinted with Author Press. Hopefully, we will try to do a better job.
Yeah, I can definitely. I know that you have been distributing through Authors Press. So that means that your book will also be available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million once it's fully published through Authors Press. Do you have any final book-related thoughts or remarks you'd like to make?
Writing, I love writing. It relaxes me, and in many ways. I don't write books to make money. I write books to make my mind at peace, to make me happy, and to analyze a subject and try to pass a message to many people around the world, my friends, and for them to meditate more and think about what can they do to become better people and promote this to their kids and grandkids, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And how has this interaction been for you so far?
It's, it's interaction is positive, so it encouraged me to write more books, really, if I had time, because I'm a very busy man with my business.
Yeah, I can tell you're very busy. I feel like every time we're working together, you've got another book that you're coming around with, which is the coolest.
Yeah.
Very busy.
I wrote also technical books, not only those kind of books. Technical books are extremely demanding. They are very expensive, and they are part of my business, because I am consulting and teaching all around the world.
Yeah, and I know that you recently got back from Australia, so I know that a lot of the information that you can include in your books, you learn while you travel.
Absolutely, I learned a lot. I was in Australia for 3 weeks. I did 2 courses. I was working in the biggest mineral deposit in the world for gold, copper, uranium, fascinating place.
I think that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for meeting with me and discussing your book. I feel like honored that you would discuss your aunt's story with us, because it's so moving and powerful and important.
I think so. It's very important for young people today that take their good life for granted.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very relevant as well, I would say. Thank you so much for meeting with me. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to Authors Press, either our phone number or email, and we're always here to help.
I sure will, and I look forward for Los Angeles.
Yeah, too. This has been Dr. Frances Pitard and Nicole Richardson. Thanks so much to our wonderful listeners for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Nicole.